Hey gang, I'm back again for another chit chat. I was looking at this about the Iranian ceasefire or whatever else you want to call it, end of conflict. Um, the Iranian foreign minister, this was on the 24th, a few days ago, Ragchi, or however you pronounce it, went to Geneva, Switzerland, to sit down and have a talk with representatives of Britain, Germany, and France, and EU representative for foreign policy. Okay, this was at the height of the exchanges with Israel. And the question that I have, he went for negotiations, try to work things out. But the question I would have for the Iranian leadership, Germany, France, and Great Britain, and the EU all feel that Iran is at fault, that Israel has a right to defend itself, even though they launched a surprise attack. They're the ones that started this. They're the ones that provided false information, false documents, basically lied their way into war. And even the British, one of their representatives, I don't know if it was the foreign minister, no, it wasn't the foreign minister, but it might have been someone from his office, was saying that Israel has a right to defend itself. They weren't defending themselves. They launched a surprise attack. But the EU and all these countries have added additional sanctions recently on Iran. They put pressure, following the lead of the U.S. and their handlers in Israel. They've been putting pressure on Iran. Iran needs to do this, do that. They're supporting the sanctions. They're adding sanctions. They're putting additional sanctions. And why in God's name would Iran send a foreign minister over there to the same people that are part of the plan to crush you? You know, it's just insidious. It's crazy. Why would you do that? Why would you go to Russia? Why would you have Putin give you advice? Putin can't sort his own mess out with Ukraine. He's going to give you advice on how to end the conflict. Okay, some of the same people, maybe not as severe, but some of the same Zionists or reps of the Israeli state. You got to remember, there's a whole lot of Russians that left and went to Israel. So you got dual citizens, Israeli, Russian, and they still got people back there. There's still some of those folks that are in politics that deal with Putin. You got the oligarchs. All the oligarchs were Jews, but they're not all. They haven't all left. The ones that fled. But others said, well, they go along with Putin's program, and they won't violate the law. They'll behave themselves, but they're there in Russia. And you know, Russia and Iran have an agreement, but it's not any type of mutual defense. It's basically economic, and even in the military sphere, it's still economic. You know, maybe exchanging, selling weapons back and forth, or sharing intelligence. But I wouldn't trust Russia and Putin to give, if I were Iran, to give straight up information. I'll play straight. Russia's got a certain amount of influence from the Zionists in his own country. And how was Putin, who invaded Ukraine for whatever reason? Okay, they're supposed to have such brilliant, and Lavrov is such a brilliant foreign policy professional, and Putin, you know, these guys walk on water. If you listen to some folks in America, but he can't sort out his own mess with Ukraine. They launched an attack on Ukraine. I want to call it a special military operation, whatever it is. You cross the border with military, okay, with military personnel and machinery, and you're still there. Okay, so what Russia did to Ukraine is what Israel did to Iran. How are you going to Putin or to the EU for advice, or to the EU on nuclear negotiations? You're going to the end. You're going right into the lap. Now, I understand Putin. I mean, Putin wants the international transit corridor that goes from the northern Iranian border at the south of the Caspian Sea down to the Persian Gulf, so they can trade. That they want that, of course, and they want it as a buffer as well. But Putin doesn't care about the Iranian people. They don't. and you know, it's all a game. You know, it's part of the political game. Um, Putin's an opportunist. It's like when he was in Syria. Oh, he was going to do so much for Assad. He did just enough for Assad to hang on for a while. But Putin's main, he still got the military bases. He's still got his navy base. Turned his back on Assad, you know, for whatever reason. But that's what he did. Okay, he allowed Israel to launch airstrikes against Syria at Israel's behest. Syria wanted to buy the S-400. Russia wouldn't sell it. Putin wouldn't sell it to him because Israel opposed it. Okay, there was talk about Iran getting the S-400. This is rumor, you know, years ago, and that Russia wouldn't because Israel opposed it. There were certain uh, Iranian military personnel advisors, high-ranking advisors in Syria years ago, and Israel asked Putin to put pressure on Assad to get those people out of there, and he did. Iran needs to hold Russia at arm's length. I don't care what anybody says. All these people think it's a great relationship between Russia and Iran. Russia's an opportunist. Okay, and that's all there is to it. Putin's an opportunist. Okay, Iran needs to, if they're going to go for consultations, um, who's their really best buddy and economic support? It's China. Okay, and China's always said uh, peaceful coexistence, work things out diplomatically. Russia will send troops in. Okay, and again, Russia went after Ukraine, surprise attack when he claimed all the way up to the point. We're not going to do that. We're not going in. Our troops are positioned with training exercises, and the West was saying when Biden's folks were saying he's going to go in, he's going to go in. He kept saying no. It seems like Biden was right. Western intelligence was right. But I don't know why Iran would go to Germany, France, Britain, and to the EU foreign policy rep, expecting to get to hear the real deal when these same folks are trying to choke the life out of you. Okay, Iran, you need to wake up. The only thing that I see that Iran has in its corner is its military. Okay, they're capable, but this current administration, and I tell you what, if it was what's his name, Javid, what's the last foreign policy foreign minister of Iran was another one, an appeaser. He'd grin, he'd go to Europe and just grin like a Cheshire cat. I mean, it's just sick. Every time I saw that man, whether it was sitting at the table, um, short videos of him sitting at the table during JCPOA or meeting with the Europeans, he just had a grin. It's actually sickening. He's just grinning. I don't like a grin. I don't care who you are. Grin. Smile if you're smiling. Just like the rest of the people. But you're looking around just a grinning like a like a simp. But anyway, why Iran's foreign minister went there was just beyond me. Because you're walking into the lion's den. You know, the people in Europe have no good intentions for you. They're putting sanctions on you just like the U.S. They're under Zionist pressure. Okay, and you go to these people. So you put your cards on the table to the enemy, and they report right back to Tel Aviv. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. I don't know what's going on with Iran, and again, if it wasn't for their military, um, their military leaders, I think they may have collapsed. I'm sure they would have collapsed or left up to this administration that they've got in there now. Zarif. That was the former Javad Zarif was the guy. Was a former foreign minister, but this guy here, this one they've got now, I think he wants to be accepted by the Europeans, by the West. They don't want you. They're looking for your downfall. They're looking for regime change. You need to wake up because if you think this is over with Israel, you're sadly mistaken. They are not going to let it lie. Okay. Did anybody ever look at this Trump ceasefire proposal that the Iranians were supposed to cease after 12 hours, but the Israelis after 24? Huh? And, and you think you're going to get a fair shake? It was on the news. It showed the documentation that the Iranians had to stop fighting in 12 hours, but the Israelis had an additional 12 hours to keep launching airstrikes. How crazy is that? But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. Subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you feel like it. I would appreciate it. Anyway, y'all have a great day and a good week coming up. Thank you.